Hello and welcome to another episode of Cricbuzz Chatter. It's day 4 and the test match has ended today between India and South Africa. South Africa beat India pretty comfortably, actually, considering how things panned out the first 3 days. Everybody thought it would be a much closer game, but it completely went in favor of South Africa thanks to Dean Elgar playing a brilliant knock. We have with us Shaun Pollock from Johannesburg, who's about to catch a flight, and then there is Dinesh Karthik right here speaking to you. But the biggest smile for the night is definitely on Shaun Pollock's face. He has the bragging rights. I had it for some time now, but I guess the baton had to be transferred to somebody. Paulie, before I get to you, Graham Smith has just come out and said in a tweet that he's seen a few wins, but this one is probably one of South Africa's greatest wins. How do you feel about it, Paulie?
Yeah, I think I wouldn't disagree. I think you've got to look at the nature of the leader. Having lost that last test match at Supersport Park, if you look at the top 6 batting lineup, not a lot of experience, guys not really in the finest of forms. India with a quality unit, and even on the back of setting South Africa 240, you're still thinking, sure, this one's going to be tight. If South Africa squeak over the line, they've done really well. To go about it in that manner, on a difficult surface, and to win as comfortably as they did need in the end. And I think the key was the partnerships that they put together. I think it's a fantastic victory. Great for Dean Elgar, as you mentioned, he played superbly, and to have led from the front and been part of all those different partnerships that you see in front of you now, I think that was key. So a fantastic effort, beautifully set up the series now. We look forward to the Cape Town encounter. There's nothing worse in Test cricket than dead rubbers. So all on the line, and normally Cape Town's a good test surface, so it should be really good fun.
Moving on now, there's been a few heroes for South Africa, but let's start with the captain here, Dean Elgar. I want to speak to you about his captaincy. His batting obviously has been brilliant, his batting as well, but most importantly, him as a leader and the batsman.
Yeah, I think there's different types, different forms of leaders, isn't there? Different guys go about it. I mean, some guys are so astute in their tactics and the way they go about the conduction of the side is just brilliant. But I think in the examples that I've seen from Dean, it's more been the leader from the front, with the way he's played. That 77 he got in Supersport Park just showed the batting unit what they needed to do from a fight perspective. And then to back it up himself with some more fight. Second morning, he was really good. And then the second innings to be 96 not out and got his team all the way to victory. I think that's when you listen to a leader. There's one thing to talk the talk, but to walk the talk is another one. And for him to have done what he did in this game, they're a young unit. There's a lot of young guys who may be looking for a bit of direction. And when you've got a leader who does that, I think that's good signs. From a tactics perspective down the line, we're going to see what we get from him. It's always difficult to judge a person just after a few games, but he's won 3 of his 4 test matches that he's captained South Africa in. And there'll be another big test in Cape Town. But, for now, he's done all that's been required of him, particularly from a performance and leading from the front perspective.
When I look at him, Paulie, he reminds me a little bit about Graham Smith. We spoke about Graham Smith earlier on in the show. Not the most good-looking left-hander, but very, very effective and has a terrific record as well. Just as a pure batter, he's somebody who will fit into most 11s in the test arena. Very few shots, very little talent, but up there between the years, he's about as good as it gets. And that's what you need as an opener, especially in those trying conditions when you play brilliant medium pace with a lot of seam movement. Moving on, Paulie. He stitched together many partnerships, Dean Elgar, with Keegan Peterson, with Markram, but most importantly, a very, very important partnership with Rassie van der Dussen. He's not had the best of series, but he looked really good in the 40 that he got. How did you feel he went about things?
Yeah, I think it was big innings for Rassie. He would have felt the pressure. He's never got himself a test 100. He's got himself 6 test 50s and now 3 40s. So he's definitely played a part, and he's been given a run, and he comes in with a lot of experience because he's only started his test career rather late. But an important knock for him for sure. I think the way he played and a lot of absorbing he did was very important. So I think that just settles things down as well in that middle order. Everyone feels like they've got a score in the series, and that's what you want from your top 6 when they head into an important third test. So a nice knock from him. I think even you guys would have been impressed there. But he is an experienced campaigner, and he had to pull on all that experience in this game.
Moving on to the bowling a little bit, Polly, something that you're well versed with. Rabada, the leader of the pack, how did you think he went about, and the whole bowling unit as well?
Yeah, it's interesting that it came out in the interview with Dean after the game that there'd been some, I don't know what they were trying to say is like some heated discussions with KG, which is a little bit of a surprise. I mean, I don't think he's been. I mean, the standards he's set for himself are unbelievable, much like what Virat has set. So when you don't live up to those kind of standards, people go, "Is there something on the go?" Why is he not quite achieving what we know he can do? But I think those 3 wickets that he got were so vital for South Africa. South Africa were terrible in that first hour on day 3, and to pick up, I know it's 3 for 77, but it was like 3 wickets in the space of, I don't know, less than 10 deliveries, and that really was the catalyst where South Africa moved on from to bowl India out and only have to chase down 240. So, I mean, he's leader of the Test series. I think he's 4 or 5 wickets ahead of anyone else, and he probably hasn't been as his rhythmical best, but he still managed to be quite destructive. So I think we're going to see the best of him in the last game, personally. I think he's starting to feel his rhythm a little bit better. And he is one of those guys who does like a lot of cricket. He often plays a lot of cricket and say, "Oh, you need to rest him." But I think he's going to be better. But from an Indian perspective, you guys would be disappointed, would you not? Not having pushed South Africa as close as you could have. And do you see any possible changes? Obviously, Kohli comes back. Siraj, do you think he would be replaced by someone?
I think India, being the number 1 Test cricketing nation in the world right now, obviously with their rankings, they would be pretty disappointed only because they couldn't, if they had got 6, 7 wickets, it's a different story. We know that the game was much closer. Even though the scorecard says just 3 wickets were taken, I think they probably didn't bowl at their best. And I think one of the main reasons why India struggled through this Test match was obviously the absence of Siraj. I think that hamstring injury not only put him on the back foot, put India as a bowling unit on the back foot, because he has the ability to seam the ball well in and out, and that would have made a massive difference. Even if you see the wickets that Kahis or Rabada took, a lot of them were the balls that moved away, and the one that a lot of times some awkward bounce as well, which Siraj is very good at exploiting, and I think India missed him in that. And credit to Shardul Thakur. I think he looked outstanding. He created opportunities every time he came on to bowl, and also showed the world why he is so effective. And it's the self-belief, but also the ability to move the ball away consistently to right-handers and to the left-handers, in fact. So he was the biggest plus to come out of India for this Test match, apart from obviously Rahane and Pujara batting so well. Rahane batted well, obviously brilliantly along with Pujara in this Test match in the second innings, especially a very, very important knock for them. And it's just good to see the approach that they had, very positive in their stroke play. And when Kohli comes in, it's going to be a very interesting decision again. I think it's always a very interesting call who you drop, who you leave out next game, and I think that's going to be a big call for India, which way they're going to go. So obviously a couple of interesting decisions for India to make, but overall they've played brilliant cricket through the series. But have they played as well as they would want in Johannesburg? Probably not.
Yeah, I think there were some positives. I think also some of the players didn't get the rewards they were after. Boomer in particular, I don't think he got the rewards in this game that he possibly could have. Shamay and the bowling unit's been good. I think Ashwin plays more of a role when you get to Cape Town. And I think they'll be quietly motivated by this. I think there's no doubt that they will be sitting in that dressing room disappointed after that, because the opportunity presented itself to win the series and wrap it up. I think they would have thought 240 would have been competitive. But the one thing I would add that did work in the favor of South Africa, and we saw the ball being changed a couple of times, which I was surprised by, because I don't often see balls that go along the ground on a surface being replaced. But it definitely made the ball softer, and I think it was easier to bat. It seemed like the surface got a little bit better. But now, DK, should I say? I'll put you on the spot. Who's going to win the Test series? That's the hot spot question.
All right, so Paulie has put me on the hot spot and asked me who is going to be the front runner in the Test against Cape Town. I still genuinely believe India is the front runner for many reasons. Number one, I know there's no Asian team that's beaten South Africa and Cape Town, and also Cape Town is a very happy hunting ground. Like I said, I have some very bad memories from 2007, mainly because Paulie came in at number 4 and created havoc in that inning. That's the tougher part to absorb, and he bowled brilliantly as well. But anyway, let's leave that aside. Let's move on to 2022. 15 years later, India go back to Cape Town to play that deciding test. The good thing is both teams look really good, but I would still put my hand up and say India are the front runners, because their batting looks more solid, and their bowling, obviously, Siraj not being fit was a problem. But when another bowler is added, hopefully Siraj is fit, which we don't know. But in case he is not there, they have Ishant and Umesh to choose from. And I still think they'll go with the 6 and 5 theory, wherein they create more opportunities with the ball as well. I believe India are still front runners because if their batting fires, which I feel still hasn't to their potential, I think they have the potential to score 400 runs. And it's going to be very interesting to see that. On the same vein, I must say that South Africa's batting, especially with the loss of Quinton de Kock, looks rather light. The moment Temba Bavuma gets out, you do get the feeling that they're a little light on the batting with Marco Janssen coming in at 7 and Maharaj at 8. You would think that that's slightly light. So it's going to be very interesting. I would definitely put my money on India. And Polly, what do you think, Polly?
I think conditions will dictate terms. We've seen a few different kind of surfaces in Cape Town. So for me, I'll have to wait down until I get down there and have a look at what the pitch is going to offer. I do think experience-wise, India hold all the cards, and a lot of their players have been in good touch and performed well. So they won't be worried about the form of their individuals. And obviously, I think South Africa have to be wary of the mindset that they'll be dead keen to turn this around. We haven't felt disappointed here in Johannesburg. But yeah, if you had to say out of the two tests, where do you see the teams? I think India is slightly in front by the performances they've put in. But I also never like to underestimate the ability of South Africa with regards to their character. They're fighters and they'll fight to the end, and that's why it should be some fantastic view.
Before we sign off, Polly, I have one last question for you. I know you like to see the conditions before you probably want to answer this, but do you see any changes in the 11 for India and South Africa, Polly?
No, I don't think India would change besides Kohli coming back, and if they have to with Siraj. If he's fit, then I'm sure they would try and keep the same side. South Africa, they may be tempted to go with the extra batting option. I think it's a decider. Runs on the board would probably be the biggest challenge for them, so they would look at maybe Maharaj playing more of a role. He can hold in the first innings and have a big impact in the second innings because of what Cape Town tends to offer. And then they might leave one of the seamers out. Play 3 seamers, a spinner, and strengthen the batting lineup just to give them a little bit more depth. So we'll have to see how that goes. We can only speculate at this stage. We can only speculate about who's going to win. But we'll be live on Cricbuzz Chatter to give you every single insight into every day's play in Cape Town. And I look forward to it. DK, you're going to be there.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure talking with you all 4 days. I hope you've had a lovely test match and enjoyed it as much as I did watching it. I know you have a flight to catch and we need to close down the show, but we will be back for the 3rd test that's going to happen in Cape Town. Me and Polly would be there at the end of first day's play. It's been a brilliant start to the year with a lovely test match, and we are sure the 3rd one is going to be a mouth-watering contest as well. And on that note, adios from Dinesh Karthik and Shaun Pollock. He has something to say, I guess.
I have. You've talked so long, I've missed my flight.
All right. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. See you on Cricbuzz Chatter.